Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Rakakutash. Once again, double honors go out and are due to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, uh, who through the Holy Spirit continue to give us His truth. Salutations also to fellow Akim out there across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth in order to try to wake up the remaining hopefully elect. This is Nine Mountains DC Camp, and as you can see on the screen, some time.com. And I'm thinking everyone's aware of this critical race theory, this brouhaha, that was drummed up. It would appear so that the truth is limited. It's limited as to what you can teach, how much you can teach. And it's just put a stranglehold on the truth. Now, why is that? You have to ask. You have a world that's so willing to go along with this propagandist bullshit called the Holocaust, all right, which has been proved several times to be bullshit, all right, and as a result, they get paid for a lie. This lie has helped them to become very wealthy at, of course, our expense. And why I say that is because all these things coming out now, they've always been there. All this information. But there was a full court press, if I may borrow a basketball analogy, to keep the truth suppressed. Now it's coming out more and more, things that Great Millstone and others like Doctrine have been saying for decades, literally, about who the real Hebrew Israelites were. Not just Jews, that's just one tribe, all right? That's something else that you would think they would be challenged on, but nobody does it. Why? Well, I'll tell you one reason. It's because of so-called white supremacy. All right, they have to have that. This is a people that are no people. All right, they copy everything from other people's. How am I going to say that? History, and take it upon themselves and wear it. Like a cloak. For instance, you're talking about the people, the nation of Edom, descendants of Jacob's brother Esau. They ran the original inhabitants of Greece out, which were Japheth. They took on that mantle, calling themselves, well, they're Greeks. What have they been saying for the last, I don't know how long? Civilization started with the Greeks. That's not true. A big-ass lie, but again, nobody challenges it. Then their brothers, the Romans, for a little while it was the Greco-Roman, all right, as they made that transition. Edomites, all the same, but much more harsher than their Greek counterparts. All right, and again, this behavior that they exhibit is, again, when we go into the scriptures and we point out who the wicked are, even to this day, people scoff and, but we realize too that their eyes are not open. And I'm saying all this because our people, because of Christianity, we had a clown come up to a Harold's camp today, or actually two. But Christianity, well, let me say this. First and foremost, it's one hell of a drug. What's that quote? Religion is the opiate of the masses. You got some people on serious leaning, boy. Man. And it's like their minds are seared in that, and they can't see to reason. They don't want. They're comfortable in their ignorance. They're comfortable in America. But they will never know that this is not the first time. There's a reason Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 is there. Let's get there real quick. There's no new thing under the sun, right? I'm thinking of chapters 11 through 16. All right, let's see. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. My little rant to start this off. It says, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All right. The body dies, the spirits continue, these spirits come back. All right. That's why it seems to repeat. Well, yep, it does. All right. But here's the thing. This lady, hold on here. The writer here is Matthew F. Delmont. All right. He tells a story about Medgar Evers, and let's go ahead and get into it because my rant has gone well past what I wanted it to. Well, I'm just trying to get you to understand here why we're getting such pushback. And this critical race theory bullshit is not helping. And this is how it's playing. And the reason I use that so-called Jew shit to start is because we have been played. But the world just seems not to care. Why? Again, going back to Edomite/white supremacy. All right? They have to be the victim. The victims have to look like them. All right? And it's like I said at camp, how can you be the victim, the villain and the victim at the same time? It's been well documented that these so-called Jews, all right, put themselves in certain situations so they can try to mimic the curses that apply to us. And for the most part, the world bought it. All right? Bought it in that they understand what's going on, but they're willing to keep quiet because guess what? Everybody's prospering. All right? There's a reason that First Maccabees 2 and 10 is there. You know, everybody had a part in our predicament, our slavery. All right? And Psalms 83. They all had a part in covering up who we were because it profited them. All right? But now that, hey, because of what? This is the Most High, like I said, this is the ultimate chess player. So he got two Jake entertainers worth, that are men of means, all right? And it goes into, well, let's get it real quick. Because all this time, the great millstone has been out there on the highways and byways. Nobody, and I mean nobody, because of our status or lack thereof, which way you want to look at it. But that's what these scriptures say. This is, let me find it in Sirach here. Let's see, I think it's 23. Hold on. Ooh, let's see. It's 13:23. I had it backwards. Okay. So here it is. It says, when a rich man speaketh, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, every man holdeth his tongue. And look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. Yeah, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. He still don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But because he's a person of means, and that's what's respected in this society. Oh, well, let's look into this. But if the poor man speak, which we are, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Goddamn shame. I remember growing up, I heard the story about this guy out on the highway, and there was a dense fog. And the people would pass him by, and because he looked a certain way, he was trying to warn them, stop, do not go this way, turn around. And they like, you can just imagine flipping them off, calling them names, got the fucking road, and they all crashed and died. That's how they look at us, because we are not people of great means like these two individuals I just mentioned, Kanye West and Kyrie Irving. But like I said, the Most High used these two individuals. So now, what people don't understand, they have no excuse now. Some of these people are still going to scoff. Others are going to say, wait a minute, let me look into this. And they still might not get it. But again, this is about quality, not quantity. All right? So you're going to have the right ones. Like I said when I opened up the video, it's about waking up the hopeful elect. That remnant. All right, we're trying to get to. So let's go back to this. So he's saying because of all this legislation, which had nothing to do with nothing really, because it was not taught in K through 12 schools. See this, the truth. Wow, how powerful the truth is. All right, they don't want to be reminded of how sick and sadistic, well, even to this day, but I was going to say how sick and sadistic their ancestors were. But this shit continues. All right. Like brother put in a group chat a couple of days ago, I guess. Was it up here in Baltimore? Cop emptied his clip into a Jake, albeit he was holding a knife. But I'm thinking also earlier this year where a Jake got shot 60 times. How many does it take to put a guy down? 60 times? He was shot at over 90, but 60 hit him. That's just pure hatred. And only the scriptures prophesy about that. All right, continuing on. It says Medgar Evers, who I'm sure we all know, civil rights leader from Mississippi. A key figure in the civil rights movement, was 19 years old when his army unit arrived in Normandy in June 1944. In case you get to see, it's a good movie back in the 90s with Whoopi Goldberg. It's called Ghost of Mississippi. That's what that's about, Medgar Evers. And there's also a Medgar Evers story that predates that starred the late Howard Rollins. All right. Two good movies, but especially The Ghost of Mississippi. That's Whoopi Goldberg and what's his name, James Woods. He plays the guy that murdered Medgar Evers, Byron De La Beckwith. All right, even was bragging about it. That's how things were back then. We could be killed with impunity. And nobody gave a damn. Again, the curses. Anyway, continuing on. So after he got back from June, went to Normandy, participated in the Normandy invasion, D-Day. It says Evers was part of a segregated unit during World War II that loaded weapons and supplies onto trucks. And now that I say that, like I said, I didn't expect this to go on too long, but he had a very dangerous job. And I'm thinking of, as I read that, the port, oh man, what was the name of it? It was back in, during this time, World War II here. Port, it was so sad because the officers who were Edomites, so-called white people, had Jake doing this very job that I just described here, and they would place bets who could do the most work, amongst Jake, load all the gear fast. Port, it was a massive explosion. Port, oh man, port. It'll come to me later. Let me go ahead and finish this. It was Oof, a whole lot of people got killed. But anyway, Edwards was part of a segregated unit during World War II that loaded weapons and supplies onto trucks. After which, black drivers on the Red Ball Express truck convoy navigated treacherous roads to move the supplies to the front. It was not glamorous, but it was vital work that helped the Allies win the war. Evers earned 2 Bronze Stars for his service. When he returned home, Evers faced discrimination and racism despite his service. His experience and the experience of so many veterans like him is an integral part of America's history. I have taught about the history of World War II for more than a decade, but I now wonder if it's still legal to teach students about what black soldiers and veterans like Medgar Evers experienced. As the push to restrict the teachings of racism, especially in higher education, becomes more widespread across the U.S. Over the past 2 years, 42 states have considered such legislation. 9 states, Idaho, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Arizona, and North Dakota, have passed legislation banning critical race theory, an academic framework that has become a catch-all term for curriculum that examines the role of race in American history. But you were so proud of it back then. Didn't give a damn who knew it. You were just a red-blooded American that hated niggers. Even though we tried everything to build our own communities and get away from it, but nah, that wasn't to be. Evidently, you just want to have someone you can, take out all your frustrations on, that you see as less than human. But we understand that this was prophecy and that this is part of our punishment for turning our back on the Most High and His laws, statutes, and commandments. We understand that. But see, what you didn't understand was that there was a time limit to all this, the fine print. And it tells you that you're going to be on the receiving end of this in the not too distant future, Mr. Edomite. You thought, as Psalms 49 and 11 states, that your houses were going to continue forever. Ain't happening. You were put on this earth to do what the Most High created you for, to be the wicked. And as Job 14 and 5 says, there's a bounds that you cannot pass. All right, you're not going to go a day longer, all right, than you're supposed to. So all this is going to, at the end of the day, all this is going to be for naught, all right? And all remembrance of you, whether it be statues, paintings, whatever, is going to be burned the fuck up. All right. It says, when I leave off. Anyway, Arizona law was later overturned by the Arizona Supreme Court. South Carolina's law, Bill H. 4100, for example, outlaws any teaching that an individual, by virtue of his race or sex, is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously. Look at that. But again, you had so much fun when the ball was in your court, when, like I said, with impunity. You went around, you could snatch us up, you could rape our women anytime you wanted. Well, when the civil rights movement came along, and because of television and radio, people saw what you really were like with the Bull Connors and people like him down in Alabama, letting loose the dogs on our women and children, the fire hoses. You were embarrassed. And I got a video that states that that's what they knew. So what did they do? They had to, wait a minute, now we're the bad guys. And shit. So they managed to turn, there's a reason why drugs were put in our neighborhood. This fucked up music that's taken over our youth and made them thugs and our women hoes and bitches. See, this is strategy. all right? Because everyone saw you for what you were, but it was put on pause for a little while. And now, guess who's back in the limelight? Because you've been exposed, all right? This internet, this thing has helped to expose you. It's not just a thing of convenience like you probably thought it was. Everybody's going to be preoccupied with looking at ass and titties. But no, people are looking at the truth. Continuing on, it says, in my classroom, students engage in this history through numerous primary sources, archival documents, diaries, newspaper accounts, and oral histories. Like other teachers, I strive to put these primary sources into conversation with each other so that students can understand how people navigated historical eras that were no less complex than our own. For legislators or parents to deem certain historical facts to be too controversial or divisive threatens the basic tenets of teaching history. And yet, all this shit they put up about the Holocaust, so-called, having your kids sit there and look at all the dead bodies and stuff being bulldozed into mass graves, but that's what you do with people that die of a communicable disease like typhus. All right? But you spun that story to benefit you. You don't tell about the swimming pools and movie theaters that were there. If I'm just going to do away with people, why do I have those amenities for them? There's all kinds of shit, but that's considered anti-Semitic. And there's no such word as Semite. Oh boy, I mean, these people are just wicked. All right, Hitler was one of them. Yes, he was a Rothschild. Oh, let's see. Okay. It says, for example, it is not possible to understand World War II without understanding the experiences of Black Americans. Same thing when I was in the service. You would talk to old staff NCOs, and they would tell you about Vietnam and how there were times when your black soldiers, they had to take showers and stuff at a different time than the white soldiers. All right, so it continued on. It says more than 1 million black troops served in the armed forces in the war. They fought courageously in combat when given the opportunity and formed the backbone of the U.S. military's logistical and supply forces, serving in units like Evers 325th Port, Port Company. Was it Port Arthur in San Francisco? That huge explosion. I think that was it. That just came to Port Arthur. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to get it out while it popped up in my head. It says, after defeating fascism abroad, and this is the irony of this shit, these black veterans then returned home to fight for freedom and democracy in America. There's a sad little story in the Tulsa race riots in 1921. I believe it was May 31st. A veteran of World War I, seeing what was going on, came out in his uniform. And they blew him away. Yep. Some of the people ran out of the houses butt-ass naked without even the clothes on their back. And never came back. Oh boy. Anyway, in researching my new book, Half American, the epic story of African Americans fighting World War II at home and abroad, I found that black World War II veterans exhibited tremendous patriotism in serving their country, that they experienced horrible racism at home, and that they joined with other veterans and citizens to fight for civil rights after the war. While some may consider these stories to be divisive, they are part of the shared history of America. It's like, oh no, you know, this devil gotta go, man. See, this is why this is oppression. This is fucking oppression. You can't even tell the truth All right, you got to sugarcoat this shit, and I'm reminded of. Let's see if I can find it. Something Richard Pryor said. Uh, let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Yeah, he's still trying to hide this damn devil. Let's see. All right. Let me see if it's going to pull it up. Let's see. Archive. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, the audacity of these people after all they've done. And let's be clear, I know there's some Jakes because of Christianity. They're into all that forgive and all this shit. And we were trying to explain that to this guy that came up today. Here it is. This is with Richard Pryor. Let me see if you can see it here. And it says, we live in a generation of emotionally weak people. Everything has to be watered down because it's offensive, including the truth. How about that? How about that? Even the truth, all right, has to be watered down. This is how sensitive these people are. But you did this. You committed these heinous crimes. All right, we know that you went around the world bigging yourself up, you're so pious and, self-righteous. But everybody's finding out you're the biggest gump, you're the biggest transvestite and all this other shit. That's why you're promoting this LGBTQ. They want to get P in there. I just did a video about they passing a bill in California, my last video, and they're trying to say that if you're no older than 10 years than the child that you're with, that you're not going to be categorized as a sex offender. You don't have to register. Ain't that some shit? So if you're with a 14-year-old, you cannot be any more than 24. Yeah, that's what they're doing now. We've been telling you they're trying to get the P for pedophile added to that LGBT, whatever else comes after that. All right. But I can't tell you what you've done to my people. Something's not adding up here. These children are being exposed to at kindergarten because you're having these freaks read to them about explicit sexual behavior that should be reserved until you're an adult, really. But then it goes full circle because when do you classify someone as an adult? In the ancient times, it was much younger. But because of the games these Edomites play in trying to protect their children, Jake is always considered older at a younger age. All right, and that's so that they can throw the book at them, as in the law. All right. Oh, but anyway, forgive my rant again. Let's see. While some may, anyway, the European theater where black troops saw combat in France, Belgium, Germany, and elsewhere was a long way from Everett's hometown in Mississippi. While stationed in France, he became close friends with a French family. It was the first time in his life that white people had treated him like a full human being. And that was the thing about back in those days, from World War I on up. A lot of Jake moved over there. And, you heard about Josephine Baker. There were other musicians that did the same thing. One piano player I remember, he went under the name Memphis Slim. I forget his real name. A lot of people that, they said fuck America, even though they ended up coming back. What's the guy's name? He was a diplomat. What was his name? Adam Clayton Powell. His wife for a while, very talented piano player by the name of Hazel Scott. She was married to him for a while. She had said fuck it and moved over there for a while. Another Scott organist, Rhoda Scott. She's been over there since the late 60s. She said she stayed over there, So, I mean, but they're still Edomites. That's the thing. Even though they treat you a little bit better, they're still your enemy. And you got that colonialism that, the French, Haiti and some other nations that they trampled all over. It says, well, let's see. Ultimately, he did go home, and his service in Europe steeled his resolve to fight white supremacy in America. When Evers returned from fighting Nazi Germany, he found that a similar racial ideology continued to hold sway in the Jim Crow South. On June 29, 1945, for example, Mississippi Senator James O. Eastland rose to speak on the floor of the Senate. He described black soldiers as dismal failures in combat and said they have disgraced the flag of our country. See, this is one thing you have to realize, that these are our natural born enemies. This is on a spiritual level. You are never, the hatred that he has for you, again, is on a spiritual level. He was created to be our enemy. All right, and this Christian dogma about love everybody has gotten our people literally slaughtered. All right, like this guy that came to the camp today. No matter what you do, as a Christian, as a believer in JC, I have to love you. And what can you do with a person like that? Okay, hey, that's you, man. All right. And these are the idiots. When these devils start to come down, which they are, these mother effers are going to go running toward them, seeking help. Wow. It's like that line in Hannibal by that pedophile, the one that the great actor, damn it. He played this rich Tennessee, in fact, they filmed that scene there at the Vanderbilt mansion. Gary Oldman, the great actor Gary Oldman, he played that pedophile. Hannibal Lecter tricked him into eating his own face and shit. Yeah, but he had a line in Hannibal, and he told the one that played Jodie Foster's part, Julianne Moore. He told her, he said, when the hen, how did he say that? When the hen calls out for help or something, the fox comes a running. He said, but it's not to help. And that's that's our relationship with these damn Edomites. And that's not verbatim, but something along those lines. I can't remember verbatim. But I always laughed at that when I heard it. And he's right, but this is how Jake has been programmed, not realizing that Christianity, that was a strategy on their part. Anyway, Eastland and his ilk understood that black Americans greeted victory abroad by redoubling their fight for civil rights at home, and that black veterans like Evers would be important leaders in this battle for freedom and equality. So they understood this. For Americans committed to upholding Jim Crow segregation, black veterans in their military service were extremely dangerous. That day on the floor of the Senate, Eastland described African Americans as an inferior race before concluding, "I am proud that the purest form of white blood flows in my veins. I know, I know that the white race is the superior race. It has ruled the world. It has given us civilization. It is responsible for all the progress on earth." And I'm thinking of a scripture because, hey, everything's in here. It's like that commercial for Prego pasta sauce, It's in there. Oops, I don't know why I did that. Let's go to Isaiah. All right, and this is his, ultimately, because this devil is so proud, that's one of the first things, as the scriptures tell us, the beginning of pride of what? Well, that's just separation from the Most High. But there's no redeemable qualities in this Edomite. That's why he can't repent. Let's see, Isaiah 10. I think it is around 20. Hold on. Maybe 12. Hold on. Yeah, start at 12. It's Isaiah chapter 10, verse 12. It says, "Wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria." In this case, we're talking about America. "And the glory of his high looks, his pride. For he saith, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people, and have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man." Bigging himself up. Yeah, it's me. I did all these things. Not realizing he's been set up like no one before. Even, Pharaoh, ancient Pharaoh, Egypt. Eastland, the junior senator from Evers' home state, was not elected democratically. Due to decades of racial discrimination, poll taxes, intimidation, and violence, less than 1% of black adults in Mississippi were registered to vote. In a state with a population of more than 2 million people, nearly half of whom were black, Eastland won his Senate seat on the strength of fewer than 75,000 white votes. In Washington, D.C., Eastland nominally represented more than 1 million black Mississippians whom he held in utter contempt. Utter contempt. That's still today. Look what Brett Favre did. Let's understand what contempt is. Let's see. Here we go. Contempt as a noun, the feeling of a feeling or attitude of regarding someone or something as inferior, base, or worthless. Scorn. But see, this is where we get into what's called projection in psychology. What that is, simply put, and you can look at the average so-called white person, you can see this. What person does that's guilty of that is project their own insecurities onto you or I. That's all it is. This is actually talking about them. All right? They're worthless. They're inferior. They're base. All right? The state of being despised or dishonored. Open disrespect or willful disobedience of the authority of a court of law. That's what they tell you. You'll be held in contempt, sir. Sit down. Be quiet. That's what that last one meant. But I think you got the point. All right. After the war, Evers celebrated his 21st birthday in 1946 by leading a group of black veterans who attempted to register to vote in Decatur, Mississippi. They were turned away by a white mob with guns. I had been on Omaha Beach, he recalled. All we, black soldiers, wanted to be was ordinary citizens. Now, after the Germans and Japanese hadn't killed us, it looked as though the white Mississippians would. Or it got much worse. I don't know if they're going to say it here, but all the programs that the white veterans, under the GI Bill, which was established during this time, Jake wasn't able to take advantage of. All those good loans on homes. And so it's like, what's the point? Even to this day, we have to get out of here. All the more reason for it to want, to hope and pray that this place falls. All right? Because this motherfucker's, hey, Psalms 23rd chapter. Aren't you sick of living like this? Part of the curse is Deuteronomy 28 and 65. Our feet not going to know any rest here. Paraphrasing. This is not meant for us to establish wealth. They made sure that all the towns and settlements that we built to get away from these motherfuckers, somehow, some way, someone looked at a white woman the wrong way, was accused, their favorite one, was accused of rape, or murdered one of them, gave them all the excuse they needed to burn our shit down. Or, which is really fucked up, they're at the bottom of a lake now. So little Jimmy and Ted, and they can go tubing over what's literally our people's graves. Yeah, fuck this place. Anyway, it says patriotism and dissent are intertwined in these stories of black World War II veterans. Evers and other black veterans fought for civil rights because they believed a better future for America was possible. This is a history that deserves to be celebrated, not banned. Okay? Let's get a couple of more scriptures and I'm going to close on out. All right? But this too, you have to understand, what you've done is going to be done to you. And you're going to get double. But let's start off with this. This is Habakkuk. This is his concern. Remember what I told you about? He built up this reputation about being such a pious and righteous individual. He was about democracy and everyone's freedom. That's bullshit. And yet, countries will remind them on occasion. You come over here preaching that shit to our people, and look what you're doing to those people over in your country. Habakkuk 2 and 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, so-called white man, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. Isaiah 47 chapter. The cup of the Lord's, Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Yeah. That's exactly it. Let's go to, let's see, Lamentations 4, last two. And it says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. All right? That dwellest in the land of Uz, the cup also shall, what cup? Slavery, bondage, and all the things that come along with that. The cup also shall pass through unto thee, thou shalt be drunken, and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion, meaning us. All right? He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. It's your turn, you devil. It's your turn. And you're not going to escape like you were, like you have It's over. Esau, you're done. It's over. Hey, so with that, I hope whoever has viewed this is, of course, edified. That's what we aim to do here at Great Millstone. Break everything down according to the scriptures. All right. Just a reminder, time is getting short. This real ID, they want everybody, especially in this region here, the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I think it's nationwide. I think May 3rd, 23rd, is it 23rd of 2023. They want you to have this, your new license, driver's license has to have this star up in the top. I think it's in the right-hand corner or something like that. So they're pushing this real ID shit, or otherwise you got to bring all this documents. This is even if you want to go like a post office, any federal building. You're supposed to be able to show this ID. It's, you know, but these are the times we're in. Just, you know, service announcement, you know. So, yeah. So with that, hey, until the next video, hey, shalom.